Hi, and congratulations on completing week one, Introduction to Biblical Prophecy 1. So this week we had a few different assignments, and let me get rid of that and get started. So we had three goals: to demonstrate an understanding of parallelism in biblical poetry and prophecy. So we're looking at what makes a passage poetic and how does parallelism, which is a key feature of biblical Hebrew poetry, it's a key feature of how they understood poetry is parallelism. Second, to identify what types of parallelism we find in biblical passages, especially prophetic ones. And then finally, to discuss how the prophets are taught and interpreted in churches today. And that was our discussion. So under the stanza, you were to do an analysis of Habakkuk 1:12 through 2:1 and approach it as they did in the videos, looking at colons, what are the verse breaks and subparts, line style, which is colon, bicolon, tricolon, quatrain. There's an R there that shouldn't be. Colon function, progressive, explanatory, complementary, those types of ideas. Stanza, and I had a couple of questions about this. Stanza is just taking that passage, which is one passage. The passage then can be broken up into what we might call verses, but here are called stanzas, and you do passages 1, 2, 3, etc. And as I break this passage down, there are 7 stanzas that we want to interpret. And then finally, what is the stanza function? How does this subpart, a stanza, function to support the larger passage? And that could be a question, a complaint, or some other type of wording. And I'll give you a quick analysis of one student's that I thought was really helpful. So in verse 12, parts A, B, and C, are you not from everlasting, O Lord my God, my Holy One, we shall not die. I would break that into a tricolon, as this student did. 3 different subjects. Are you not from everlasting, which is supported by, O Lord my God, my Holy One, and we shall not die. So those explain or support God being everlasting. So as we look at the tricolon, we then would say it is specifying everlasting shall not die. I think that's very good. This is stanza 1, and it is an invocation. So the next part, the next stanza is 12D-E and 13A-B. O Lord, you have ordained them as a judgment, and you, O rock, have established them for reproof. Well, this bicolon, part that's broken into 2 parts, is complementary. It is judgment and reproof, and one explains the other. The second part of this stanza, you who are of pure eyes, then to see evil and cannot look at wrong. Well, that's saying kind of opposite things, contrastive, pure and cannot look. I would also say that they're complementary in a way as well, in that you who are of pure eyes, than to see evil, and that than could be translated as a not. This is again a bicolon, and so we have an invocation. The second is an acknowledgement. We then go down to a tricolon. Now here in 14 we have a bicolon, and 4. Some students, and I think this is also right, split here and make this 15A, B, C, and then D into a quatrain, and I think that's fine as well. But there are different ways to look at it, and so this is a good example of what I was looking for in that first assignment, at least the first half of the first assignment. The second was really how do we understand as modern day or contemporary churchgoers, how are the prophets taught and how are they understood by the modern church? And you had 3 different questions and you were to answer. 1, I sometimes, if you answered one question, asked you the other just to see in discussion your thoughts. But you were to create a discussion post on one of these questions. Why do you think many Christians focus upon a small percentage of passages in the prophetic books? And then how can that be corrected? What has been your understanding of what the prophetic books are about? And then you were to compare or contrast this with an understanding described in Fee and Stewart. And then finally, have you seen the prophetic books preached, or how have you seen them preached or taught in the church? And again, you were to compare and contrast that to Fee and Stewart. So as you look at each of these questions, I was looking for a few things. Oh, by the way, as always, posts are to be posted on Friday, and then all discussion matter should be done over the weekend. So on your posts, on the initial one, I am looking for evidence, not just personal reflection. So I wanted to see you engage with the reading and engage with specific biblical passages that support your point. Otherwise, it's just a free-flowing, take my word for it kind of idea, and discussion posts are more than that. Obviously, well, not obviously, but discussion posts do include personal reflection, but I'm wanting to see evidence supporting your personal reflection. On your initial responses, I'm wanting to see critical interaction primarily with differing positions. So if one person says, I think we preach all the time in the modern day church about the prophets, and another person says, I don't think we ever preach, I would like for those two people to explore why they came into different conclusions based upon their own experience. I want to see synthesis with previous discussions, previous reading, previous courses, and course lectures. And at this stage in your program, many people are within 1, 2, or 3 classes of finishing up. You have lots of classes to draw from and lots of different opinions and evidences to bring into discussion. And then finally, ongoing engagement and discussion. I want you to engage in a dialogue over the weekend, which ideally is back and forth between the same person, meeting a minimum of 2 responses for B level work or good work, but actually taking a little more time in conversations that are meaningful for a score of A, and to avoid batched responses. And by that I mean that you came in and on a Saturday morning for 25 or 30 minutes, you went and responded to 5 different posts, and then you never logged into the discussions after that. That is a batch, and yes, it's 5, and that's wonderful, but that is not engagement in discussion. That's just a whole bunch of comments, and that will not reach a maximum score. I'm wanting engagement over multiple sessions over the course of the weekend for full marks on discussion post. So I think the grades this week were really good. While I'm taking a lot of time on discussions, the vast majority of the class did a great job engaging in discussions. There were a few marked off for not quite enough engagement with the reading or with biblical passages on discussions. The worksheet was very good. A couple of students seemed to stumble, and we had some marked off for that. But for the most part, I think this was a great week, and I really appreciate all your hard work. Looking forward to week 2. So have a great day, and thanks for all your hard work.